Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a quick channel update, even though I feel like I just did one less than a week ago. So there I am with a big gap with not doing much, and then suddenly I'm here back to back. I upload Freddy Farkas, I upload about how I'm playing Freddy Farkas, and then I upload a commentary about Freddy Farkas. So it's either feast or famine with this channel. That's what I should have probably called it instead of Let's Play Sierra Games. Feast or famine on Sierra Games. That's what this channel should have probably been called. Anyway, what I thought I would do is talk about what game I'm going to play next. And obviously with the background, probably take a good stab that what I'm probably going to play next is indeed EchoQuest 1 and then EchoQuest 2 after that. Now the kicker is, I've played EchoQuest 1 and I've played EchoQuest 2. I have the big boxes for both. I cannot say that I've ever beat any one of them. So this might be a struggle of me getting through because I'm pretty sure there is next to no muscle memory that I can rely on having played this game many times before or anything like that. Pretty sure once I get fairly past the intro of probably both of these games, I'm probably just going to have to try to figure it out. So it might be a while before I'm not making excuses, but it might be a while before I upload another video because it might take me a while to get through this if the game is long or super difficult. In order to capture that background that you see right now, I will say the first game starts pretty dark. If you've played the game and you see that dolphin swimming in the beginning and then what happens to him, it kind of gives you a clue, like that game is pretty dark. And so clearly it's an effort probably to bring like a perspective on like our oceans and like probably pollution and all that stuff. I remember so little of this game. Like I said, I am pretty sure I never beat it. I also thought would be kind of fun is kind of go through a couple of things. So back in the day, I want to say it was probably during COVID, I ended up going through all my Sierra boxes and taking everything out, like scanning the box, scanning manuals, scanning the disc. Like I scanned everything that were in these boxes. And inside these boxes, I also found a number of things that I had put in these boxes and stuff like that from when I was playing the game. One of them that I'll talk about first is I actually found a letter that I sent to Sierra back in February 10th of 1992, thanking Mrs. Jackson for her time to sit with me and do an interview. So it's got like the PO box for Course Gold that I sent it to, to Human Resources. I blotched out the phone number, even though it is, in hindsight, I only blotched out the last 4. It is not my phone number. Like, again, this is from 1992. That was to a landline. And most people don't even know what a landline is probably anymore. I blotched out part of my name, the middle initial and all that stuff, so just for security reasons. Then I blotched out the city and state, which if you've listened to my channel, you probably already know what that city and state is, but I've also blotched out the zip code so that people, I don't know why they would, but people are crazy on the internet. Someone might send a random letter to this. I don't even know if people send letters anymore. And again, I don't live there. That was back in 1992. That was like, I don't know, 20 addresses ago. So there's this letter that I addressed to Dear Mrs. Jackson. As requested, following my job interview on the 24th of January 1992, I am closing my resume for review and consideration. I appreciate your time and counseling assistance very much. The tour I was given following my interview was extremely interesting and informative, and, if anything, greatly increased my desire to be a part of Sierra Online. As outlined in my resume, my current skills, experience, interests, and personality make me an excellent prospective entry-level employee in your organization in either computer programming, which is what I was doing in college, or customer service departments. Again, if you watched my BC Quest video, I talked about how I was doing everything I could, including try to get into customer service, which I thought would be the easiest way in. Anyway, as I mentioned during our interview, I have been an avid customer and user of Sierra Online products since 1986, and would very much enjoy being a part of your organization. I'm very familiar with your current line of software products and would thoroughly enjoy being a part of the development of new products. As we discussed, I will be contacting you again in May or June of this year when I complete my 2-year course study at Southwestern Community College. Now, if you watched my BC Quest video, you know that I actually did not finish college. Kids, go to college, make something out of your life. In the interim, if you have any questions regarding my resume or employment availability, I may be reached at my home at 619-423-BEEP. Again, thank you for your time. Sincerely, Thomas, BEEP. 2018 Ilex Avenue, BEEP. So there's that. So I thought this was cool to actually find a copy of this letter that I sent. Undoubtedly, I typed this up, printed it, handed it to my dad, who probably scribbled it out and put some other suggestions, and that's probably what was actually sent to them, is whatever edits and suggestions my father may have made, or this may be a copy of what my father basically helped me write. I don't know. Another cool thing I got was back in 2007, when I made the LarryLaffer.net website. I was in pretty much, I don't want to say constant, but Al and I were bouncing emails back every once in a while. Like, I asked him permission to use some stuff from his site and stuff like that. I'd created some images that he ended up posting on his site. Like, instead of Google, it said Boogle, and it had a picture of Boogle, like his arm extended, like where the search is in Google back in the day. And you could tell that screenshot. I wish I had a copy of it. It's probably on Allo's site, but I think it was like an old internet IE browser, and you can tell it's very, very old. But anyway, so I had reached out to Allo in 2007 and said, hey, I scanned all my boxes and stuff like that, and one of my favorite games is Leaf Suit Larry 2, which I've talked about, and Torrance Passage, which, if you watched my other video, I talked about how much I love Torrance Passage. And I said, would you mind if I send you these photographic scans, because I scanned it to a really nice glossy paper. If you could autograph it and send it back, I'll pay for SASE, self-stamp envelope to send back. And Allo agreed and signed my Leaf Suit Larry 2 picture that I had scanned. And you can tell I touched it up, because if you see my Leaf Suit Larry 2 box, it's pretty beat up. So I had scanned and then digitally touched up the image as much as I could. And then here's the Torrance Passage one, which says, to Thomas, I'm glad you enjoyed this, my favorite game. And it's signed Al Lowe. So it's really cool that Al Lowe also really loved Torrance Passage. And again, if you watch that BC Quest video where I talk about my dreams of working at Sierra, or no, it was in the commentary, actually. Sorry, my apologies. It's in the commentary of Freddie Farkas, where I discovered that Al Lowe had 4 sequels planned for Torrance Passage, but did not get to make them because Sierra deemed that Torrance Passage was a failure based on sales, which is bogus. Another thing I had in here, which is dated from 6/18/1991, is it looks like it's the Sierra logo, but it's like a wave and it says beach. I think I used this envelope in my picture that I sent to Interaction Magazine, or the Sierra Magazine, whichever it was called at the time. And it's a picture of me dressed as much as I can, like Leaf Suit Larry, like wearing a white dress-up shirt and white pants, trying to imitate a leash suit, but I obviously did not have a leash suit in 1990. And so I had made this picture of Leaf Suit Larry and called it like Beach Babes in Bikinis or something like that. And I think I had a disc with this is what I was using. For some reason, this disc, though, was in my Quest for Glory 1 box. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's what I had open at the time when I took everything back apart. But I believe that's what this is a reference to. And the wave was my imitation of trying to mimic the Sierra logo, but make it like a California thing. So that is supposed to be, I'm pretty sure, a reference to Imperial Beach, which is where I used to live by. Another cool thing, the BC Quest thing keeps coming up. When I posted this on Facebook, Josh Mandel, I assume, watched it, because he actually replied, I would so play this game. And to have someone from Sierra actually comment on one of your videos, especially if it's not about a game that they are in. So it's not like this is for, Freddie Farkas or anything that Josh Mandel was involved in. This is something about me having wanted to work at Sierra and talking about this game that I developed. And he actually replied to that, which I thought, if I didn't already think most of the people who worked at Sierra are amazing and so down to earth. Like Josh Mandel taking the time to say, I would so play this game, which I assume means he watched the video, is absolutely freaking heartwarming and amazing. All right. But it doesn't stop there, and then Mark Hudgens, he chimes in and he says, I recall hearing rumors of a Caveman game around the studio, but it never got traction. I even pitched a Caveman MMO that didn't get off the ground, but this is better, which he's talking about my video. So here's another person who worked at Sierra and watched my video and was talking about how this idea I had was better. And then Josh Mandel replied to Mark and he said, we pitched a Caveman game back when the writer's block was tasked with submitting two 1 to 2 page game proposals per week, every week, to Bill Davis, Ken, and Roberta. It was a game called Bog, or Boog, B-O-O-G. I probably still have that proposal somewhere. It never got off the ground. And then I replied to Mark Hudgens and said, I know two 20-year-olds back in the day that would have probably worked for just Sierra Swag to make such a game, which I was referring to myself and my friend at the time, Sean, because we were so big on working at Sierra. Then there's this one that I kind of expand on, where I replied to Josh Mandel, where he said he had made that proposal for Boog or Bog. And I said, hey, I made a 3-minute video with high scan resolutions of the manuals and such for BC Quest, and kind of went all detailed. And I said, it's wild to think that others proposed a Caveman idea also. And then Josh Mandel replied to that and said, we had a list of genres we were constantly adding to, and we pulled our ideas for proposals from the list frequently. Caveman game was definitely on the list. Sometimes we would put a version of our list out on warranty cards, and customers would be encouraged to check off the types of games that they'd be interested and see what would be enough to basically pique Ken's interest. And then I replied to Josh saying, hey, well, like I told Mark, I know two 20-year-olds who would have gladly worked on such a game and just done it for Sierra merchandise and swag. And I said, and now I'm kind of upset. I never sent in my warranty cards. I literally kept everything in those Sierra boxes, which is what this video is about, is finding those random things in the Sierra boxes. I should make a video where I go over, which is what I'm doing now, because I scanned all of that stuff. I even bought hint books for Sierra games, even if I didn't need them, just because they were Sierra. Me, addicted? What makes you say that? And while not the biggest fan of the Book of Faces, referencing Facebook, it has shining moments like this where I can chat it up with one of my Sierra idols. Thank you, sir, for the time of answering these. And if you ever post those things like Boog, let me know. I'd love to see it. And then Josh Mandel replied, my pleasure. It's always a great time reminiscing with our other Sierra fans. So the fact that he replied, he watched the video, he replied that he would totally play this game, and then he's just taking the time to answer this stuff. Dude, made my day. All right, so then one of the other cool things I have, this is not from a game actually. If you purchased Ken Williams' book, there was an option to get it autographed by the author. So it's Ken Williams and Roberta's signature with that stamp that says Ken and Roberta on it. So I thought that was really cool. It's a card that you get with the book if you bought it from Ken. This is Ken's book, which is Fairy Tales. Not all fairy tales have happy endings. So this is the book I'm referencing that came with that card with the autograph and the stamp. And then this is what I was talking about. So in some of my Sierra games, this one is from the King's Quest 1 EGA. This is not the original King's Quest, but this is the remake, the SCI version. Sorry, I should say SCI, not EGA, VGA. So the original King's Quest was AGI. This is the SCI version of King's Quest. So I bought this at a place called Egghead, which does not even exist anymore. You can see it's King's Quest right there, and it cost, the normal price is $59.95. But here at Egghead, it was discounted at $44.99, so clearly this is the place to buy it. But can you imagine, back in, what year are we looking at? 1990. These games cost $59.95 usually. Okay, they cost $44.99. Most games today in 2025 will run you anywhere from $40 to $50 now. So if we were paying that back then, and if we were to take inflation into account and consider all of that, that would mean back in 1990, we were roughly probably, I'm not good at math, I'm not even going to pretend I am, but I'm going to guesstimate that we were probably paying around $100 per game if we were to buy that game today at those same prices, which is insane to me, because in 1990, yeah, I had a job. I was working at, probably 1990, I think I was probably working at a store that doesn't exist anymore. I start to feel old when I say all these things don't exist anymore. It's a store called Alpha Beta, which is very similar to Vons or Safeway, whatever you may know. So I was working there, or either at Pizza Hut, which thankfully still exists. So it's not like I had a lot of money, but I was dishing out for these games. The next one that I have a receipt for is King's Quest III, which was on October 9th, 1988, which is a year before I graduated. Let's let that sink in. Yeah, I graduated in 1989. So this is a year before I graduated that I purchased King's Quest III when it came out on October 9th, 1988. And that was for $34. So it's still expensive if you think about it in terms of what games cost today and what was costing me back then. So it's wild to think. And this is why I'm so happy I kept these receipts on some of these games. I wish I'd done it for all of them, but I did not. But I just love looking at this stuff and going, wow, I bought this October 9th, 1988. And it cost me literally $35 because $34.97. And then this one is from a store called Software Etc. that was in National City. This one is, I'm looking at the name of it. This is for King's Quest VI, which I bought December 19th, 1992. And that one cost me $49.99, so $50. And then with tax, though, it was actually $57.94, so $58. Or, yeah, there we go. Why is there two? Oh, it's $49. I bet you that's $7.95 now that I'm thinking about it. That's probably a hint book. I bet, because I've talked about it before. I think I even said it in this video, that I would buy Sierra Games and the hint book just because it was Sierra. Not that I even thought I would need it, but I typically, if I found the game and the book at the same time, I'd purchase both. So the game was $49.99, and then with the hint book was $7.95, and the subtotal was $57. Then we add tax, the whole total comes out to $62, which is crazy. And so that was December 19th, 1992 at National City at Software Etc., which does not exist anymore. And that was for King's Quest VI. And then this is the envelope that came from Ken and Roberta Williams when I got the book with the stamped autograph. This, if anyone can guess just by looking at it, I'd be super surprised, but you might be able to guess. This is my map for Quest for Glory 4. There are no dates on this at all. Yeah, there's no dates, but based on that writing and how that looks, this is like seriously old. I don't know when Quest for Glory 4 came out, but I would say this is probably around that time, because my handwriting has greatly improved over what we see here. But I thought this was great that I found this in my Quest for Glory box, and it was a map. I don't think I used this map when I did my playthrough for the channel, which was kind of silly, because this is actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's actually not a bad map. You can kind of figure out what the trees are, the graveyard, void areas, where the ghost is, void area, where you start, the swamp, the water nymph, Baba Yaga, enchantment on bush. So, need to get into door at girl, or oh girl, I don't know what that says over to the right. Bushes here, oh, and then that's the rhyme. Now I don't know what, it looks like it says Filch down in the lower right. I don't know what that means. Save water nymph, know her. Gorgio, no gypsy name. I have no idea what that note means. So I just thought this was kind of cool to find in there. And then this is from Manhunter 1. I don't know what those tick marks are. Probably how many times I died out in the minefield. And then there's the notes about meet Anna at 4:30, H. Osborne, pin load. That's probably Anna Osborne, Harry. Yeah, there's like, I don't know what half these notes are on this thing, but this was in my in my Manhunter 1 box. And then this was the flip side of that note, which is stay away from square mug. And so these are like warnings that you get. I have no idea what the bracket code in the middle is. Tim Jones, Joe Green, Oliver Cole, Harry, which we know. And then the tattoo with the circles, I can't remember what that is. And I don't know what the, kind of looks like a living room, kind of like below that crease over to the right. So yeah, this is from Manhunter 1. And then this was something that was my save game. It's for Manhunter 1. And this is from Egghead Software. This was drawn on 6/17/1991. It says, do you get the feeling that you're being watched? This is a Manhunter save game disc. Psst, remember, the orbs suck. So this is when I was super into Manhunter when I played it. Clearly tried to make the Egghead logo guy look like Manhunter in the brown robes. So, and then the disc says, attention Manhunter. I don't have a 5 1/4 drive at all. I don't have a way to access that, which is a bummer because I have a bunch of Sierra games that are on 5 1/4 discs that I would love to basically extract off. But there's stuff like this. Like, I wonder, does this save game even still work anymore? You know, this is from 1991 and it's been sitting in a bin in my garage like all my other Sierra games, the 3.5s, because I got a 3.5 USB. I was able to extract all of those discs easily. So I assume the 5 1/4s may have also survived, but I don't know, and I don't have a way probably to ever find out unless I ever get a lot of extra money and buy some old retro computer that has a 5 1/4 drive, which I don't see happening anytime in the near future, unfortunately. And then this is the back of that same disc. I think those are the save games on the left-hand side. I know the MH2SG, that is a folder that I usually name. So it's usually whatever the game is, and then 01, 02, 03. So that would have been Manhunter 2, save game 01, 02, 03. Do not defy the orbs or die. And then this was my cheat sheet for Police Quest, so that I didn't have to keep looking at the manual. I basically traced everyone and then put their pictures on here so I could quickly try to reference who was who. And then this is the back of that Police Quest note. And it says, Mike, the one where it says, Mike, you forgot to draw your gun. There is a picture, I can't remember if I've shared it in another video. There's a picture of my friend Mike playing Police Quest. And I think this is a reference to that. And ironically, my friend Mike would go on to not only in real life become a police officer, he ended up becoming a detective and all that. And he's actually really well known at where he is currently located, which I'm not going to reveal, but he's doing a really great job of actually being within law enforcement. So that is actually kind of cool that worked out. Hopefully he knows to draw his gun when he needs to. There's a couple of fun stories I could tell about being tased and stuff like that. Not me, but him, because when something went wrong and stuff like that. But all right, let's keep moving. All right, so this was cool. I was supposed to meet Scott Murphy and Mark Crow at San Diego Comic-Con. But unfortunately, like a Palm Springs trip came up with my wife and we ended up going to that and the whole spiel. But I had one of my coworkers named Christopher Merlin who actually went over there and got this signed for me. So from Scott, he said, I hope Palm Springs roasted your peanuts. Sorry I missed you. Take care. Scott and I used to go back and forth when Space Venture was taking off. I was doing a couple videos to promote it. If you play Space Venture, you'll see my name not only in the credits for one of the backers and stuff like that, but also for the quality assurance stuff and all this extra stuff that I did during Space Venture. And then Mark Crow wrote hey Thomas, quest on, and then signed it. So I actually really like this picture. And as you can tell, obviously this is not this is not Roger Wilco or anything like that. I photoshopped my face and kind of did what I did with the Leaf Suit Larry and the Torrance Passage. I basically made this photo edit and did a glossy print of it, and then had Merlin bring this in to have it signed. And then there was this one. This picture was actually what they were handing out at the table. So Merlin went ahead and got this also signed. It says, Thomas, you bastard, where are you? Don't let this happen again. And that was from Scott. And then from Mark, he just wrote, Thomas, keep questing. So, you know, at least Scott was putting some heart into it and, you know, making some pot shots at me for not being there to actually meet them when I was super hyped to actually meet them. All right. And that was the last thing. But anyway, Echo Quest 1 and 2 are next. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do. Hope you liked this little display that I did of some cool stuff that I have and stuff like that. I may eventually share like more of what I have in my boxes, like some of the scans I have, like all the stuff that is in, you know, like Space Quest 3, like the glasses and all that stuff. I have all of that stuff in there, and so I might one day also, part of the channel, just kind of share some of what's in those boxes and talk about what's in those boxes, and maybe almost do that like an unboxing video, except for the game is already opened. I just open it again and talk about what's in it. I don't know. Let me know if you think that's a good idea or whatever. Go ahead and click like, subscribe, pass it on, share, whatever. All right, thank you. I love you all.